Okay, so now we are going to create a robot. This is your day one tutorial. It'll be broken up into different days depending on what we get finished in class that day. So if you're starting this out for the first time, you're going to go to Create New or File New. For this, we're going to go to Web and we want to choose Common. However, for the orientation, you have two choices. You have the horizontal or landscape orientation. You also have the portrait or vertical orientation. We want to click the vertical orientation and then click create. Okay, so first thing we have to do is go File, Save As, and put this in our network folder. You are going to name this one Robot. Make sure it is a .ai file, that is a working Adobe Illustrator file, and click Save. And OK. Okay, so the point of this is for you to get as close to my robot as you can. You'll actually be graded on your ability to follow directions this time and learn all the tools and keyboard shortcuts and features, because when we finish with this robot, the one that we do together, this basic one, you guys are going to be able to get super creative and make some really, really cool robots using the new tools and features that you've learned. So for this one, just try and get basically the same proportions that I have. So we're going to start with the rectangle tool, and we are going to create a rectangle that is about this big. It's going to be the robot's face, and you just kind of want to use your smart guides to put that in the center. You're going to want to leave some room up here at the top because we'll be creating an antenna, so you don't want it to be too close to the top. Next, you're going to get your ellipse tool and hold down the shift key on your keyboard because we want to make a perfect circle. And to do that, we have to hold shift. And remember, the key to keeping that perfect is holding the shift key all the way through and then letting your mouse finger go before you let that shift key go. So we want to move this circle behind the rectangle. A tool that you will use a lot is the feature that you'll use a lot is called the arrange feature. So with the shape that we want to move selected, you're going to right click on your mouse, go to arrange, and then send to back. And that shape is sent to back. Now, you may notice that you can see through this and you think that it didn't work. As you can see, if you don't have a fill on your rectangle, see right here, it's no fill. That's what that red line means. Then you may think that you're doing it the right way and you just can actually see through it. So just fill that with white and that should fix the problem. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the rectangle tool and we're going to create kind of a skinny, tall rectangle like this. And then we also want to move that to the back. So you're going to select it, right click, arrange, send to back. It's looking pretty good already. We're going to get the ellipse tool, hold the shift key to make it perfect circle. We're going to make just a little knob for the top of his antenna, like that. Don't worry about getting it perfectly aligned. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I think I want to make his face a little bit bigger. Okay, so to make sure that this is all aligned, we're going to use our selection tool and draw a box to select the entire thing. Then you're going to see those alignment tools pop up just like we did with the yin yang, and you're going to click that horizontal align center. And it's just going to perfectly align all of those shapes in the center. Okay, now we are going to use the ellipse tool, and you want to zoom in for this part because we're going to be working on a space, and if you don't zoom in, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to see. So we want to make sure that we're nice and close to his face. And remember that the keyboard shortcut to zoom in is Control plus, and the keyboard shortcut for zoom out is Control minus. Okay, so we're going to make him an eye here. So use your ellipse tool, hold the shift key, and draw one circle. Okay. Now we're going to use a new tool called the offset path tool. And what that does is basically it's going to create a duplicate of this circle, but it's going to offset the path a little bit so our circle shows up on the outside. This is really good when you're trying to stack objects, and it's an easy way to make sure that they align perfectly. So you have to have the object selected, so make sure that you have it's in blue, it's selected with your selection tool. Then you're going to go up to Object, down to Path, and then over to Offset Path right here. We're going to offset the path by 1.5 millimeters, so you're going to type in this offset 1.5 mm and then click OK. And now we want to make a copy of this. So we're not just going to drag each circle over. That would make sure that if we did that, we would mess up kind of its perfect alignment. So to do that, we're going to hold the shift key and select the inside circle as well. The shift key is like the magic key on your keyboard. It can do so much. And one of the things that it can do is allow you to select multiple things at one time. So while you hold down the shift key, you can select more than one object. Now, you can see that both of my circles are highlighted in blue, so I know they're selected. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and drag and make a copy, just like that. Now, if you mess up, you make a mistake, make sure you're using Control Z to step back, and then you can try again. So now we're going to do the same thing for his mouth. We're going to grab the rectangle tool, and we're going to make kind of a long skinny rectangle and try to align it in the center. You should see where it says center. It's going to center it up right there. And then you're going to go to, with that selected, you have to have it selected. You're going to go to Object, Path, Offset Path. Again, type in 1.5 mm for millimeters, and then click OK. And then he has a little mouth. Not a mouse, a mouth. So now we're going to make his robot ears. So grab your rectangle tool. You're going to start here, drag over to the left and down to make a little rectangle. I'm just going to bump it over with the arrow keys on my keyboard. Then I'm going to hold Alt to click and drag a copy, looking for my smart guides to tell me where the center is so it's perfectly aligned, and then let go. And there he has robot ears. Now he needs a robot neck. I'm going to use the rounded rectangle tool to create one part of his neck. I'm going to bump that over to where it's in the center. Okay, and then I'm going to hold Alt, click, and drag to make another perfect copy of it. So now we have his basic head and neck, which is looking pretty good. So I'm going to zoom out because I'm about to make his body, and I need to see the size of my artboard so that I don't make it too wide. So grab my rectangle tool. I am going to create a rectangle and make sure that I align it to his body. Looks pretty aligned. Okay, and then I'm going to make the inside screens with just a couple of shapes. So I'm going to do an inside rectangle, and then I'm going to do another rectangle, and then oops, not that, Control Z. And then I'm going to make kind of a tall one like this. So he has a couple of screens going on, and you can bump that down to align it to make sure it's just perfect. Okay. All right, now we're going to get the ellipse tool and make a button. We're only going to make the first one because we're going to use that offset path tool again. So with it selected, you're going to go to Object, Path, Offset Path by 1.5 mm. Hold your Shift key to also select the circle in the middle. Then hold Alt, click, and drag to make a copy. And the last thing we're going to do for this video is use our ellipse tool to make one circle for a button. Then hold Alt, click, and drag and let go to make 3 more. That's 4 in total. Okay, that looks pretty good for day 1. If you have any questions, let me know. We will be completing the rest of the robot in video 2. Make sure you save it. Control S.